Good morning and welcome to the SA Innovation Summit Female Founder Day. Next up, we have some phenomenal women making moves in the entrepreneurial space in Africa. Please make way for the Trailblazers of Entrepreneurship in Africa, facilitated by Kamal Cadet, founder and CEO of Imtech, with Waldan Gaka, founder and CEO of Ngovu Wanawake, Titi Akinola, head of TIFF Connect at the Tony Elumelu Foundation, and Gianna Bas, founder and CEO of Lamy Insurance. Over to you, Kamal.
Thank you, Tarisio. Welcome, ladies, to this panel. I'm looking forward to having an amazing conversation. I'll let you all introduce yourselves. You are trailblazers in your own ways, and I don't think anyone can do any justice but yourself in talking about what you have accomplished and what you are doing today, and what your passion and what brought you to this point. So I'll kick it off with the backdrop of the current environment as far as for female founders and female entrepreneurs going into entrepreneurship. And this is an acquired taste for many, but this is also a way of life for many more. So I think encouraging and promoting what women are doing, and I think the numbers speak for themselves as far as the power and the role that women play in entrepreneurship as well, from consumer buying purchase to decision making, in very difficult situations when it comes to running families. Women are, and they lead differently as well. So I welcome the opportunity. This is an honor for me to moderate this conversation and get us talking about what led us here. So if that's okay, I'll do a quick summary of myself, and then I'll kick it off with Walda and the team to introduce themselves. I'm Carmel Cadet. I'm the CEO and founder of Mtech, a fintech company helping central banks modernize their financial infrastructure. We work with blockchain technology, AI, and I'm a year in, so I think I'm still a baby in as far as the entrepreneurship world, but I'm looking forward. It's been very exciting and challenging at the same time. But I'd love to open it up with kind of an open-ended question to start with, but we're going to get really deep into the work for entrepreneurship, and not only that, but the difficulties around funding, around getting a fair shot, especially being in the men, a lot of time in men industries. So let's kick it off with that. So Walda, why don't you tell us more about yourself? Ngovu is a company that has been known for being led by women. Tell us about your story, and then Gian will follow up with you, and then Titi, introduce yourself to the audience and tell us about you, who you are.
Thank you very much, Kamal, and thank you, Tarisha, for the invitation. It is my passion to see other women fly with me, so I'm really honored to be part of this platform this afternoon. Yes, I started in Ngovu in 2014 after having been in the corporate space for 20 years at the time. I really became very frustrated in our industry because it was entirely male dominated. I think one of the biggest challenges and the opportunities I saw was all the capabilities that was available in the female space, but we were never being invited to the table. The company in Ngovu in Swahili means power. Wanawake in Swahili means women, and so the name really is Powerful Women. And it was really about finding those expertise and those people that they said did not exist, and to say, ladies, well, I'm going to create a vehicle for you to come and participate. Walk with me. I have access to these markets. I have been on the other side of the curtain. So I'm really just unlocking opportunity for all of us. So the company was really established on that to say, well, you've been in the space on the other side. Go out, bring the women in, and allow them to come and participate. I can successfully say that we are changing the landscape. We are really breaking the glass ceilings, and our capabilities are on show. So the industry is really wowed by what we're doing because we are really coming and we're bringing value to the table, which in essence for women in business, for women specifically in a very technical environment, we are constantly being questioned and challenged whether we are capable and whether we can deliver. So we've really taken the bull by the horns, and we have tried to become more innovative and creative, and also try and save time on some of the developments that we are busy with. And we are really showcasing right now, and everybody wants us at their table. So yeah, it's exciting. It's been challenging, but we are growing, and we're constantly looking for new ways of doing things, because we have to show the world that women can do this. And I think being an African female, we have our own challenges around where you're supposed to be versus where you are. And so, yes, we are mothers. I'm a mother of 2 young teenagers. I'm a wife. I've been successfully married for 20 years. So I've kept it together. and it's
Hashtag
possible.
goals.
So when they say it's difficult, yes, it's difficult, but I found that my success is really, really with a supportive husband. And my kids understand that mom is doing this for us, knowing that what I'm doing now and what I'm persevering right now is really just going to open up doors for them by the time they do decide to become female leaders and they want to create their own businesses. So yeah, I'm creating a bit of a monster here. I really feel sorry for the guys out there who's going to cross the path with my girls, because they've got it going. So yeah, but with that said, I do believe that I have a role as a leader to show people what's possible, and also what we are capable of, because I think as females, we tend to judge ourselves, and we are quite critical of ourselves, and we sometimes become our own worst enemies in terms of, I can do this, or can I do this? So we're constantly questioning ourselves. But yeah, I think having been able to start this organization, and we are successfully running this race for now, and I believe we've got wings, and we're still going to continue flying, and we're hoping that what we're doing will encourage other women to start their businesses and to really come on board and to do this. So yeah, thanks Kamal, and thank you Tarisha for the invitation.
That's amazing. We'll dive a bit deeper about the self sabotage tendencies sometimes of women. But Gian, talk to us about Griffin Insurance. What is your story? Tell us more. Thank you, Alda.
So my name is Jihan Abbas. I'm the founder of Griffin, and Griffin is a product of ours that's built on a platform that aims to digitize the entire insurance value chain end to end. So it's an infrastructure company, and Griffin is one of our products. Griffin was actually the first product to streamline the process of purchasing car insurance in Kenya to less than 2 minutes to buy a policy, and as little as 15 minutes to have your policy claim paid out. But for me, the main aim of Lami, which is the platform that we've built, is to break the 3% insurance penetration barrier across Africa, because across the continent, very few people have access to insurance products. So what I've tried to do is essentially create the infrastructure to allow others to innovate and create products that fit the market in Africa. My background is in finance, so I used to work on a trade floor, also very male dominated, and now I've moved from that to an even more male dominated industry of insurance, and it's been quite an interesting journey, particularly for somebody of my age, because everybody in insurance seems to be above the age of 50. So it was quite a bit of a challenge to actually convince them that this is where insurance is headed and you should take this seriously. So we launched our product in January, and since then we've signed up a total of 15 insurance companies, and we've signed up a total of 7 partners, including a Pan-African bank, which we won an RFP to digitize their insurance for them. So it's been a very exciting few months for us, and I must say that COVID has been not too bad for business. So I cannot complain about that. Yeah, I would say that in the tech industry, particularly in Kenya, it's mostly dominated by men. So it's been quite interesting to kind of navigate that and still remain strong and relevant, while also trying to hopefully inspire the next generation to also go in and set up their own startups.
That's amazing. Thank you, Gian. And Titi, tell us more about the Tony Emilu Foundation and what you're doing there in your background.
Great. Thank you very much, Kamal and Teresa, and for that's for convening this very, very important panel. And thank you for inviting the Tony Elumelu Foundation to make a contribution to this. Now, the Tony Elumelu Foundation is an organization that is championing entrepreneurship in Africa. I work as the head of our digital platform, TEF Connect. This is our digital networking platform to support all the entrepreneurs in Africa. The Tony Elumelu Foundation, or just to give you a brief background, started in 2010 with a number of programs spanning and impacting various areas. And these areas include education, agriculture, tech and innovation. And a few of these are Tony and Awele Elumelu Prize rewarding top academic performance across Africa. We also partnered with a few with Hares Holding, Covet Foundation to make impactful investments in Tanzania's Tanga farms. We also partnered with the Tony Blair African Governance Initiative, and this partnership was targeted at strengthening Africa's private sector and promoting economic growth. We also partnered with a giant accelerator in Nigeria, CC Hub. And in this partnership, we funded 20 tech startups to go and scale their businesses. And these startups went ahead to do great and amazing things. And these actions that we have performed over the years deepened in our founder's mind, Mr. Tony Elumelu. And he decided that entrepreneurship is truly the catalyst for Africa's social economic growth and prosperity. And with this in focus, in 2015, the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program was launched. Now, just a little bit about the entrepreneurship program. The program was backed by a $100 million commitment by our founder, Mr. Tony Elumelu, and he brought forth this fund from his own family wealth. The fund is directed at identifying, training, mentoring, and providing funding for 10,000 African entrepreneurs across all 54 African countries. In this entrepreneurship program, we give training, we mentor, we provide a network collaboration for all the entrepreneurs on our program to go to scale their businesses. Our training program is a 12-week program. It provides capacity support through our robust curricula, which is fondly called by our entrepreneurs as a mini MBA. We also have over 4,000 mentors across the globe, 4,000 professionals across the globe to provide support and guidance for the mentor entrepreneurs on our platform. And we do all of this through our digital networking platform. I mentioned TEF Connect, which I head. And I personally have also dived into entrepreneurship in my early years. And it's truly a challenge and a rewarding factor to have women in entrepreneurship. Now, let me get back to the Tony Elumelu Foundation. We are in our 6th year of the entrepreneurship program. So we're 10 years as a foundation. We're celebrating our 10 years this year, by the way. But for the entrepreneurship program itself, we are in our 6th year. And we have trained, mentored, and funded over 9,000 African entrepreneurs across all 54 African countries. So in actual terms, we have provided a little over $45 million and put it in the hands of African entrepreneurs. But in all this, we ensure that we have a gender inclusion, ensuring that female are part of our program. We monitor the trends, we target the female entrepreneurs, and we bring them on board of the entrepreneurship program to benefit, because we recognize that women are strong, resilient, and go a long way to the growth of the African economy. And we don't do this alone, by the way. There's this African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So we partner with organizations like UNDP, AFDB, GIZ, ICRC to aid the acceleration of the impact we aim to achieve on the African continent as entrepreneurship is concerned. So we try and will continue to provide support and continue to ensure gender inclusion and ensure the female gender is not left out. We are powerful, we're strong, and we know that we can change the African continent, and we do this, and the Tony Elumelu Foundation does this through empowering and funding, and also even after we fund, we monitor, we look out for these businesses to ensure that they're making the impact that it was first started to do. So yeah, this is what we do. And thank you.
I mean, that's what we call enablement, right? And this is a big part of the ecosystem. But I'm going to piggyback on what you mentioned last. So the strength and the confidence for women to get into entrepreneurship, I think it's something that you know, more and more women are getting, you know, in the game. I think are feeling more confident getting in the game, but it's not easy for many, right? And while you talked about, you know, the choices as a woman and the timing, and, you know, depending on what part and what time of your life you decide to jump into this journey, that can mean whether you jump or not, right? Sometimes, you know, because women have children, and because, you know, are expected to be wives before anything else, and that becomes a dynamic. So maybe let's pick up on that as far as women, what did you tell yourself when you were starting to kind of push through? I have this concept that now I'm kind of learning to develop that muscle, because some days, especially at the beginning, you know, especially if you're a sole founder, especially if you're, you know, you're going into a new space, you only have yourself. So talk to me about maybe the psychology and the mental strength sometimes that maybe helped you, or you know, can that women should think about going into this as they're starting their journey.
Right, thank you, Kamel. That is a very interesting question. Also, personally, for me, it all starts in the mind. If you can, I mean, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. Yes, it's easier said than done, but really a strong mind, and we've seen this also in our female entrepreneurs that come on our entrepreneurship program. It is all a mindset. It is to push. It is resilience. It is to know that the world might see you as not able to push through, but it is up to us mentally to understand that we have families, we have a community that we can impact. And well, yes, pray about it, of course, but also work hard. Hard work is important. Networking is very, very crucial. I have found that women in general, I'm not talking about every woman now, but we see that we are quite good as going on our own, just doing things the way we want to in business, but there is the power in networking. There's a power in women supporting women. There's the power of role model opportunities. So find a role model, find somebody that has gone through the challenges, and you know, seek help. Don't do it alone. Seek help. And there are millions of us out there that have gone through the emotions, that have gone through, you know, the emotional, even the financial challenges, and are willing to support. So the Tony Elumelu Foundation, I did mention, also provides an array of mentors. We recruit and we onboard mentors onto our program, and 81% of these mentors are women. So we have that network on our platform, TEF Connect. So we do provide that collaboration, that free atmosphere to express and to get help in whatever challenge you're facing in business. So networking for me as a person, and we have also found that in the Tony Elumelu Foundation, is actual key to growing successfully in your entrepreneurship journey.
Thank you. Well, I think you are going to jump in and share some thoughts.
Yes, definitely. I just want to echo what Titi said. You know, the importance of support structures when you start a new business is so critical. So one of the best, well, let's start with, I think that transition from corporate or from a full-time employment into entrepreneurship is always critical. Like you said, in the first year, you know, the first thing we think about is, I used to have the guarantee of an income, and then to move into, I have no income. It's a shock to the system. And the first likely thing we do is, okay, maybe I should just go back to work. It's so much easier. I wouldn't have to navigate myself through, who do I pay this month? Who don't I pay this month? Just to get by and just to make sure that you keep the boat afloat. So I think one was the transition, which was critical. Two, the support, the importance of support. And then three, just the tenacity that you would have to build for yourself to say, you know what, I can do this. A lot of self-talk is so critical. So you start having these 1,000 conversations with yourself in your head. And also, as Titi mentioned, you know, the stability, the mental stability that you would need to get through this, it is painful. But guess what? Once you get through that pain, you become so much stronger. I found that the pain has actually given me the strength to say, you know what, I did this before, I survived. How much worse can it possibly get? And it does get worse, you know, but a colleague of mine said that if you've hit rock bottom, you can only go up. So I guess it is the foundation of any long-term sustainable business to go through the S-curve. And we need to understand that we are going to have painful moments. But if you outweigh the successes and the failures, you probably have 80% success and 20% failure. So just having the ability to focus on the positive and what worked, and see your failures not as failures, but see it as lessons. So what can I take from that failure, and what am I not going to repeat? So yeah, it is a roller coaster.
And
there is no script.
You have to tell yourself that. Like, no one will tell you that, right? You kind of have to retrain and reframe your own mind and say, this, instead of me feeling sad about this, let me get a lesson out of this and then keep it moving, right?
Absolutely. And then, you know, I say having a balanced life is so critical. It took COVID to get me to calm down, right? So COVID allowed me to press the reset button, because we are constantly running, we're constantly under pressure, we're pushing deadlines, we're pushing client commitments, we're pushing family obligations, and we forget about ourselves. But I do believe you cannot feed off an empty plate. So COVID has allowed me to focus and to just reposition myself to say, okay, what can I do differently post-COVID? We know it's not going to be normal, but I am in a position to create my new normal. So my new normal means I'm going to have a 4-day work week. And the 5th day is going to be dedicated to me. And somehow, it's the 2nd month, I'm battling. I'm fighting myself, okay? Nobody said I can't have the day. But I'm trying to create a new normal that is sustainable, because the lifestyle that you have as an entrepreneur is stressful. It's painful. And I find that fatigue is normally what takes women out of the game. We find that it's too heavy. There's too many demands. There's too many expectations. And it's just too much. And therefore, the failure rate of women just getting out of entrepreneurship is so high. But I think if we can start nurturing the self, working on the self, preserving the self, appreciating the self, we will have so much more stamina to run this race. And we can. So I guess for me, 6 years later, being in this game and being in business for myself, I've come to realize that this game needs me. So yeah. So word of advice for everyone, start with you. Happiness is created by you, not by your spouse, not by your employees, not by your clients. In fact, they contribute probably 10, 20, 30%, but that 70% sits with you, because if you're not feeling well, you can't drive your business. You don't go to work, there's no income. You don't motivate yourself. No one's going to motivate you, girl. You're on your own.
Yeah. that's the big one, and having the frame of mind to do that. So Jihan, let's jump over, because you're in the middle of, this growth path right now as a new founder, having the initial kind of ramping up clients and success. What is your mindset right now in compared to when you started, your fear, the unknown and the, instability, and then now seeing being at this stage? What's the mindset right now? And
Yeah,
the
I think,
transition.
yeah, I would say that there was definitely, this was something that I came straight out of my job, and I started my job straight out of university, and just for 2 years before coming to set this up. So it was definitely a very, very, very steep learning curve for me. And I thought actually that it wouldn't be as, I don't know, you don't really think it's going to be that crazy, especially for me, because my family are mostly entrepreneurs, my father, my grandfather. So it's something that I saw all the time growing up. So it was something that I considered very normal. But even then, it was getting thrown in the deep end, a huge, huge shift in what I thought was. I think every day for an entrepreneur, you're just putting out fires for the first few months. Like, it's just putting out fires constantly. But what I think for me, the biggest lesson was that, nothing is ever as bad as it seems. You can always get out of whatever situation, however bad it looks. It's really not the end of the world. And realizing that, was such a huge step for me, because it's always difficult, because you sort of sometimes blame yourself, but taking a step back and learning to assess the situation, and instead of looking at it as Walter mentioned, as a failure, just learning from that situation, and then making sure that you don't make the same mistakes again. And for me, that has been really, really critical to get here. But if you asked me 10 months ago, would I be here in this situation that I'm in right now, I would say that you're crazy.
Wow.
But it's been a lot of perseverance and a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. And yeah, just not being afraid to ask questions to people who have been in my shoes before, or who have more experience than I do, because I really do not have that much experience. But there's a lot of people around me that have the networks, have the experience personally, who can actually just help and guide you, and sometimes in big decisions, make sure that you're thinking about every situation, every scenario, and making sure that you're making the best possible decision.
Yeah, no, I resonate with that, because that I'm going into central banking, and I'm not a central banker. Everybody wakes up every day. You never think about thinking about your central bank. So, and then somehow I ended up in central bank building tech for them. And one of the first advisors, like you said, I surround myself with people who know. One of the first advisors I reached out to is someone I knew in my network, right? And because I knew she was a central banker. And I said, look, I'm setting this stuff up, and here's what I'm thinking. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just know there's something there. and I know how to, craft a business mind around it. And let's go try it out. And sure enough, she jumped on board, and she's the expert, but I learned so much, and now I sound smart, but I tell people it's because of her. So I totally resonate. And sometimes you build on that. So you talk about network TT, and have developing yourself and motivating yourself. It's the balance and knowing what to take and where, and how do you process a lot of information and make it work for you. Because I'm a big believer personally on following something that drives you, because that's what keeps you in the race, right? If you're doing something because somebody else is telling you, that self-motivation is not going to come. You can't self-motivate yourself into something that you don't want to do, or somebody else is like. So it's all so interconnected, it's so personal. And the days that I have doubts, that's the only thing I have, is that it's reminding myself why I got into this race. So looking at the future, or if you're looking at the landscape right now of female entrepreneurs, whether it's in tech, in oil, in finance, for example, I'm in blockchain. I see a lot of women in the space, a lot of women in this space. Whether it was when I was in corporate at IBM, our leadership were women in the division, and then you step out and you realize a lot of people. But it doesn't seem like we're always getting the voice, right? Or at least getting the ownership. What can women do to essentially kind of step in and kind of own their own voice? How did you find that? Did you go through a process where you kind of walked into it and say yes? So Gian, sometimes I see your YouTube videos and your interviews, right? You own yourself and you're confident in what you're doing. What does that look like as far as building that and feeling confident about what you're doing? And I'll go to Walda too after, and TT.
I think it has to do with how passionate I am about solving this problem and bridging that gap of lack of insurance. It's such a big problem, and it's one that, you know, there's been a lot of focus on financial inclusivity, but not a lot of focus on financial security, which I think insurance is a critical part of. So for me, I'm really passionate about solving that problem, and I think really understanding the problem and not being unapologetic in trying to find the solution is, for me, what drives me and what helps me seem as confident as I do. I would say that more often than not, it's about making yourself, you know, you've got to always I try to put my best foot forward. Obviously in situations like that, I do get nervous, but nonetheless, you know, it's about presenting yourself in the best possible light to make sure that your message is well received.
Very good. Because yeah, you want to be heard. You have something to say.
Yeah.
I love it. Walda?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that I'm always challenged with is that I'm being seen as being aggressive. And aggressiveness comes with confidence, right? So we're confident ladies, we are not aggressive. And so I will stand my ground, and it's all based on the backing of my team. So the importance really of being consistent and have a voice. I have a voice, and it's loud and it's in your face because I have a story to tell and I have value to bring. So like Jihan said, you know, it is a challenge, but it is an opportunity. You know, you have a voice and people are listening to you. So how about having a few more voices along with you to say, you know what, we are here and we are in numbers. We are competent, we are capable, and we are a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, I guess sometimes your work speaks for itself. If your capabilities are there, you're so much more confident. If the evidence is there, so yeah, confidence comes with your capabilities.
That's right. And I guess the passion. So the passion is important, and having having a story to tell, but also having the capability to add value is something that's on you to build that up too, right? To invest the time. TT, what does the foundation, do and to help women, to help entrepreneurs as far as owning their own space? Because that's part of the work too.
Right, thanks, Kamel, and well said, Walda and Yihan. Now the foundation, I did speak about how the foundation does training and mentoring, and those are one of our enabling pillars. We ensure that our female entrepreneurs around the world, around Africa, have access to a robust training platform. And I did mention our 81% female-led mentorship program. So we also ensure that they receive the guide and the support that they need. Now, the foundation recognizes and understands that entrepreneurship is the backbone of the African economy. And we also have seen that Africa has the highest percentage of women to men that have gone into entrepreneurship. And we've seen this, and we believe that if we support women entrepreneurs, we can promote gender parity and spur economic growth. And that is why we commit our time, we commit our resources, in terms of actual physical people, and the access to capital through our seed funding to support these women entrepreneurs. So what we do as a foundation is at every stage of our entrepreneurship program, we ensure that we apply the gender lens to ensure female inclusion. So we've strategically created a model where every 1 in 3 beneficiaries is a woman. So far, we have provided up to about $15 million. We have put that in the hands of women entrepreneurs to scale, to grow their businesses. And we also do this in partnerships with a lot of organizations, private sector, government, and other players in the entrepreneurship space. And this year as well, we will be launching a program which is targeting 2,400 women across Africa. And we're doing this in partnership with EU DevCo. And this partnership will ensure that women continue their businesses, just to ease the crunch of liquidity that the COVID-19 pandemic has presented us with. To ensure that these women who are supporting their families, who are supporting their communities through entrepreneurship, stay in business and continue to grow Africa.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So let's piggyback as we have about 15 minutes left, but let's talk about the access to capital. From 6 years ago to now, do you see a difference as far as women getting funding? Is that something that's difficult? And Gian, I want to hear your experience as far as how you're seeing how you're fundraising, or what is the strategy around how to fund your business and growing a business?
Okay, so this is where we start. Okay, no problem. So this is where we start our selling pitch, right? So why you should be doing business with women. I think we create organizations that are inclusive, sustainable, and we are people-centric. I think essentially women being natural nurturers, when we do create our organizations and when we do create opportunities, we try and make sure we stretch the rand or we stretch the dollar, and we make sure that more people benefit from the process. We specialize in petrol station developments, and one of the big things for me is how many more jobs am I going to create, whether it is during construction, whether it's going to be during operation. And so, yes, in the next 6 years, I think women is definitely where the focus should be in terms of investment, because we have the capacity to make sure that we empower, we include, and we give back to the greater community as opposed to just the individual. So in terms of investment, it is still a challenge. Access to finance is not that simple for women. I think there's so many barriers to entry in terms of, do you have your own capital to contribute? And chances are you don't. You may have a brilliant concept and people will only feel confident in giving you money when you can show your own money, and yet you don't have that money. So that's one of the big barriers. Opportunities. I think because women are so occupied with so many other things, we lose focus of and hunting these opportunities. Men play this game so well. They are so connected. They are networking on levels that we are not able to, and not because we don't want to, but because we have so many other responsibilities that we have to take care of. So I think that's one thing that we need to do differently as women going forward. Have more networks, and I'm talking strong alliances. I'm talking across the continent. I'm talking, what am I doing in my country that I can share with Jihan? What is Jihan doing that I can bring to South Africa and TT and everybody else? What is it that we can do and start sharing amongst ourselves, and grow together as a network, as opposed to trying to run our show individually. I think as women, we become so protective of what we've created, and then we kind of keep it to ourselves. I can't let this go. It's like when you have a baby and then you hold close to you, you don't want it to get hurt and stolen and whatever else. But I think it's time that we start opening ourselves up to collaboration, to make sure that we build stronger and bigger teams. One of the key focus areas for our organization is to start scaling our business into other countries, because we see the need and the opportunity that exists in those countries. We know it exists, but the women in those countries have not been woken up. You know, they kind of need to be awake. And so we're saying, we have a concept, we're doing great work. We want to come into your country, give you the opportunity, empower you, put together your teams, transfer the skills that we have, and help you break those glass ceilings and get into the landscape. And then, yeah, risk. I think so many big corporate organizations is quite risk averse when it comes to women-owned businesses, purely because we don't have the muscle that bigger corporates have, which is already in that space, who's already been established, and so to try and get into the organization is harder. But I can tell you now, once you're in, you're in. And so yeah, I think just going forward, women just need to look at building stronger alliances, working with other people, to get that muscle, to become more competitive, and then to be able to access markets.
Sure. I think we can definitely learn how to network better. Men seem to be naturals at it. And I'm getting better. I think LinkedIn was made for us in a way. I think leveraging that, and I'm learning to leverage that. And there are tools out there, right? And you know, I've gotten a couple of business leads from LinkedIn, right? And sometimes it's a matter of engaging. Sometimes you have the tools, and again, taking action and engaging, and ask. Don't be afraid to ask. I think someone said that. Don't be afraid to ask. And you never know, the worst that can happen is they say no. And then, you know, and you and somebody told me, it's like, you just asked the wrong question. That's why they said no, right? You just need to find the right question for them to say yes to. So there are definitely things that I agree as far as collaboration we can do. Gian, what is your experience as far as fundraising and how you're funded starting even?
Yeah, I think in the West, I think pre-seed rounds are quite a lot easier to get, even with just a pitch deck, with just an idea. But in Africa, you know, you have to be able.
I'm not experiencing that, but so I heard the good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, in Africa, you have to be able to show more tangible results before somebody would even give you a seat at the table, for example. For my first round, I went to family and friends, and first I put in my own little capital that I had, and then I went to family and friends. And I think it's a very good, you know, asking the people around you, the people who want to see you succeed most. I think that's a really good starting point if you want to, you know, start setting things up, because it might be more difficult to get institutional investors on board at that time, and also the terms may not be as good for you. So that's how I did my first round. I raised through family and friends, and I invested some money myself. But now I'm going into my first institutional round, so a seed round. And now we're raising $2 million for growth. And yeah, it's been, especially, it didn't fall at the right time with COVID and everything, but nonetheless, it's been really, I think things have changed. A few years ago, when I was speaking to some investors, you know, people were more skeptical about investing in insurtech, for example, and certain parts of fintech. But now I think people are more open, and it's been quite exciting to see positive feedback. And a lot of investors are actually looking to invest in women. That's the thing that people don't realize. You know, a lot of investors want to invest in women, but they just don't find a lot of female founders going to them for capital. So I think it's important for women to know that the money is there. The people who only invest in women as well, for you know, for example. So it's really important to just make sure that you get yourself out there, get your pitch deck out there, and hopefully you'll get exactly what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah. So I want to take the time to talk a bit more about that, right? Because this is as we look at the funding and the capital, the venture world and the startup world today, there are multiple channels on how to get funding. There's the collaboration and there's the foundation, there's the accelerator model that, you know, Titi can talk more about and I have talked about as far as how you get into a network of people who really kind of help you develop entrepreneurial skills and help you get access to funding at the same time. But Titi, you'll talk about that more, but once that access to funding means, you know, introductions and to networks and exposure, and at the same time helping you build your deck, helping you, you know, build your pitch and how to present yourself and how to get your storytelling together. All of those pieces are really, really important as far as when you get in front of an investor and if you decide to fundraise and bring somebody on board to build a business with you. How do you actually do that? And right now, the things that you're mentioning, you know, pre-seed, seed, Series A, are all very kind of a formal funding structure that I'm experiencing right now. I was in corporate and kind of going through the same period. I'm also in a seed round. You know, bootstrap is the term that they use a lot as far as before you get into funding, you kind of use your own money and get yourself started to meet some milestones and validate the market need. But it's very, very important what you just mentioned as far as, you know, investors. I don't know if it's after COVID, you know, pre George Floyd or, you know, pre, you know, all the pains around the world that we're seeing right now that are being exposed as far as Black Lives Matter around the world. It's something that is forcing people to take and say, what can we do more? At the same time, I think it was a Nielsen study that came out that says 0.006% of women are getting funding. So I want to connect the two dots because I'm a big believer on taking action, right? That's true that there's a lot more money going to men, but what can women do to get more in front of investors to get in the game, to even ask? Because you can't get money if you're not even in the game, right? If you're not even getting into in front of investors. So that data point is important, but what's driving it and how can we change that data point? And I think engagement and getting it more in front of investors who, and doing the homework and say what investors are looking to invest in women. Some are pretty outspoken about it and, you know, really want to be part of the change and allies. And others are not as spoken, but when you go in, that's something that you can leverage. And being a woman, that can drive a different perspective when it comes to a business or a different market positioning or a targeting. So thank you for mentioning that because I think there's something to be there about women getting in front of more investors as well. And that comes with the network and the investment. But Titi, is that the pain point the foundation is also trying to help with, it seems, right? Trying to funnel more entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs in front of investors.
Right, Kamel. Yes, we are passionate about getting women entrepreneurs in front of investors. So what we do with our training program as well is we have a module in that curricula that actually talks about how you build your business plans, your financials. Because what we find is a lot of businesses that applied to the Tony Elumelu entrepreneurship program don't have strong financials in place. And you know, when you get in front of an investor, they want to understand your financials. They want to understand where you are, how you're spending, what you intend to bring in 5 years, 10 years. You know, just the milestones. And this is lacking. And what we had done is, I mean, we saw the gap and we decided to do more when it came to financial, building your financials, building your business plan. And even in the next year, we'll be introducing the pitching, where we'll prepare you for pitching. You know, we tell you what to look out for, what to put in, and how you actually do pitch. The training, I mean, we dedicate about 2 weeks to ensuring that you have a strong business plan. We have a partner, Deloitte, who looks into your business plan. They tell you the areas that you need to improve on. And I did mention that we drive in women businesses into our entrepreneurship program. So they look at your business plan. They tell you where to fix. They tell you what to do to make it better. You have different rounds, so where you can improve and give back, and improve and give back. And then in the final week of the entrepreneurship program itself is where we do the pitch preparation. The pitching itself is a new thing that we are taking on next year, 2021, and just having professionals there to tell you what to do when it came to pitching, when it came to standing in front of an investor, what to look out for, what to say. So yeah, pretty much we come in capacity building your confidence, and just helping you be ready for the next funding.
Sure. Thank you. Sounds good. So maybe we'll wrap up with last words, parting words from everyone. I'd love to personally stay in touch with everyone, and I think that starts with us building the network here. This is a mini network. And Gian, thank you. And I thought about you for to join us, and thank you for taking the time and joining this conversation. But that's what it's all about, and for us to continue to stay in touch. But any parting words? And I'll go through my clock. I was going through the clock here. Walda, I'll start with you. And TT, that's okay. I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah, thanks, Kamal, and thanks, Tarisha, again. I think just to close off, I think women have got so much to offer, and I think together we can do better. We can support each other, we can help each other, we can elevate each other. We know that out there's the take her down syndrome with all the mean girls out there. I think we need to start working on those relationships and see how we change that, as opposed to just expecting them to change on their own. Sometimes it's an educational process where they understand that we are not a threat, but we're actually there to support and to help their businesses. So yeah, I think networking, please do, ladies, can we connect and can we help and support each other, even if it is just, can I pitch this idea to you and what do you think? I think we need to have more business conversations as opposed to just connecting for the sake of connecting, but not really connecting. So if we can start having meaningful connections and actually helping each other grow. So what is it that you're lacking, Kamal? How can I help you? You're starting off. I've been through this role 6 times. And so what can I give you that will help you do things differently? So yeah, I'm looking forward to this alliance and working with you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. Gian, to you. Last words.
Thanks. It's really been a pleasure to hear everyone's story. Walda, I think your story is pretty great. And I think it's really, I think for me, the main thing is just don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid of failing. Don't be afraid of the unknown, essentially, because I think it's better to find out than to never take that risk. And I think we should always strive to, push ourselves to our ultimate limits. And yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out, to people that you may know, even to people that you don't know. As Carmel said, LinkedIn is where I got one of a very big contract from LinkedIn. So don't be afraid to just drop people a line. I'm sure most people are willing to have a chat, which is, the first step. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Gian. TT?
Right. Thank you so much for convening this panel. And thank you, Waldo, Jihan. I've learned so much from all of you. I mean, you guys have been strong, and you are truly a motivation to women out there. For us at the Tony Alemele Foundation, we have all talked about the same thing, which is the networking. So please network. Again, Jihan, you mentioned don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It is the mind. The mind stops you first before you actually action the actual pause. So stay strong, stay motivated, talk more, join a network. I mean, I did say that we are the foundation. We have a network, online network, which is TEF Connect. So if you do go to tefconnect.com, you can share your experiences. You can be a mentor to other women out there, and you can also learn from other women out there. You know, we also have, you know, a marketplace in there. We have a community in there. You can connect industry-wise, you can connect country-wise, or you can connect gender-wise, but get connected. No one is an island. We are all here to support one another in the growth of ourselves and the growth of Africa. So please join the network. It is absolutely important.
Thank you, Titi. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been amazing talking to you guys today. And South Africa Innovation Summit, Teresio, thank you very much for organizing and for welcoming us to have this timely conversation. And I hope this gets to motivate many women out there in the program, and looking forward to see where they all go. And I will connect with you all on LinkedIn and stay in touch. You guys, we have our emails. Let's stay in touch.
Great. Thank you, Kamel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kamal.
Take care. Bye-bye.